Hello everyone, welcome back. As we were discussing the questions related to your examinations in the previous video that we have made, up till question 157 was already discussed. So, in this video, we will be starting from question 158. So, this is question 158. A country will not develop economically if increasingly larger share of its GDP is coming from the primary sector. GDP structure is changing to favor the services sector more than the industrial sector. Foreign capital inflows in the economy are not as strong as domestic investment. Financial sector of the country is becoming increasingly globalized and risky. See, for this, the question is a country will not develop economically. So we have to choose the one which is not developing. So accordingly, the first option, I guess, is the correct answer. So accordingly, the economic development in the modern world is fundamentally based on industrialization, which will lead to a generation of gainful and higher production of goods and services. Right. A stronger industry favors greater growth in the services as well as primary sector. But if an economy becomes highly dependent on the primary sector, it will not be able to produce adequate amount of goods and services for its population, right? So accordingly, option number A is the correct answer. That is, increasingly larger share of GDP is coming from the primary sector. Next, moving on to question number 159. A nation which is rich in natural resources and skilled laborers is economically very poor with a low GDP per capita. Which of these can be the most appropriate explanation for the same? Firstly, the flow of production in the economy is very weak. The nation is not relying on sustainable growth models. The government's intervention in the economy is hampering the development of competitive markets. Lastly, the nation has to rely on imports excessively for production profits. So, see, the question is a nation which is rich in natural resources and skilled labor is economically very poor with a low GDP per capita, right? So, accordingly, first let's discuss the answer, then we'll move on to the correct option. See, it is not that countries which are endowed with a bounty of natural wealth or natural resources, minerals or forest or the most fertile lands are naturally the richest countries. No, in fact, the resource rich countries like Africa, Latin America have some of the poorest. They do have some of the poorest countries in the world, whereas many prosperous countries have scarcely any natural wealth. So there was a time when possession of natural resources was at the most important consideration. But even then, the resource had to be transformed through a production process. The economic wealth or well-being of a country or a nation thus does not necessarily depend on the mere possession of resources. No, absolutely wrong. The point is how these resources are used in generating a flow production and how, as a consequence, income and wealth are generated from that process itself. Accordingly, option number A is the correct answer. The flow of production in the economy is very weak. Next, moving on to question number 160. Lima Declaration is related to protection of biodiversity in global hotspots, mitigation of greenhouse gases, that is the GHGs, under supplementary guidelines to the Kyoto Protocol, redistribution of world industry towards developing countries, and fourthly, empowering women to break the glass ceiling in the leadership of the highest global institutions. So, moving to this, what is this Lima Declaration related to? If we come to a thorough discussion, the Lima Declaration and Plan of Action calls for a redistribution of world industry so that developing industries would have around 25% of it by the year 2000. To achieve this objective, radical changes in the traditional concepts and practices were recommended in that time. So, firstly, it was to facilitate this Lima Declaration and its objectives. It was recommended that the UNIDO becomes a specialized agency of the United Nations with a new industrial development fund. And not only this, it should also undertake the central coordinating role in changing the world industrial map. Also, the Lima Declaration called upon the developed countries to eliminate barriers to trade with developing countries and encourage their manufactured exports. They were asked to restructure these industries in order to deploy production capacity to developing countries and to expand technical assistance programs. Okay. So, with these objectives being related to the Lima Declaration, option number C will be the correct answer. That is redistribution of world industry towards developing countries. That is option number C. Next, moving to question number 161, which is from the Human Development Index. So, question 161 says, which of the following factors are common to countries with a lower HDI value? Political instability, social unrest, common religion. So there are codes given, which is 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, or all of the above. So we all know what HDI value is. So coming to the thorough discussion of this answer, see, as many as 32 countries record low levels of human development. Right? A large proportion of these are small countries which have been going through political turmoil and social instability in the form of, let's say, civil war, famine, or high incident of diseases, all these such things. So there is an urgent need to address the human development requirements for this group through well thought out policies or effective plans. International comparisons of human development can show some very interesting results. So often people tend to blame low levels of human development on the culture of the people. Let's say, for example, X country has lower human development because of its people following Y religion or belong to Z community. Such statements are misleading, right? To understand why a particular religion keeps reporting low or high levels of human development expenditure on the social sector. Okay, or social pattern. It is very, very important to look at the pattern of government expenditure on the social sector that is being involved. The political environment on the social sector, or the political environment of the country, and the amount of freedom people have is also very important. It's always considerable. Countries with high levels of human development invest more in the social sectors, and not only this, they not only invest more in the social sectors, but they are also generally free from political turmoil and instability. That's a plus point for them. So distribution of countries' resources is also far more equitable. So accordingly, we will choose option number A as the correct answer, that is political instability and social unrest. That is option 1 and option A. Next, moving to question number 162. Consider the following statements. The size of a territory of a country plays an important role in determining the level of human development. This is one statement. The second statement we have is the higher the per capita income, the higher will be the HDI of a nation. And the third is in India, among states, higher per capita income states always perform better at HDI than other states with a lower per capita income. The correct answer is option 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 only, or none of the above. Two statements are here, whereas the other statement, statement 1 is here. So moving on to the answer of this, see, International comparisons of human development are interesting. Size of the territory and per capita income are not directly related to the human development. Often, you see, smaller countries have done better than larger ones in human development. So similarly, relatively poorer nations are the ones comparatively poorer have been ranked higher than the richer neighbors in terms of human development. Let's take, for example, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, Trinidad, and Tobago have a higher rank than India in the Human Development Index, despite having smaller economies. Similarly, within India, Kerala performs much better than Punjab and Gujarat in human development, despite having lower per capita income. So we understand this is not interrelated. So then the correct answer will be option number D, which is none of these. Neither option 1, nor option 2, nor option 3. The correct answer is option number D, none of the above. Moving on to happiness. That is, we have one question. Which of the following aspects of a citizen's life are included in Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Index, GNH? Spiritual and cultural, environment, socio-economic, good governance. You have to choose from this. And the codes given are 3 and 4, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, all of the above. Okay. So moving on to the correct set of options that we already have. See, all of the above will be the best one. Why? Let's have a proper explanation to this answer. Firstly, we are talking of good governance. See, good governance is considered as a pillar for happiness because it determines the conditions in which Bhutanese thrive. While policies and programs that are developed in Bhutan are generally in line with the value of GNH, there is also a number of tools and processes employed to ensure that the values and ethics that are there are indeed embedded in the social policy. Coming to sustainable socio-economic development, a thriving GNH economy must value social and economic contributions of households. Not only households, also families, free time and leisure given the roles of these factors in the happiness. Next, coming to preservation and promotion of culture. Happiness is believed to be contributed to by preserving the Bhutanese culture. Developing cultural resilience, which can be understood as the culture's capacity to maintain and develop the cultural identity, knowledge, and practices, and also to be able to overcome challenges and difficulties from other norms and ideals. Coming to environmental conservation. Environmental conservation is considered a key and one of the most important factors contributing to the GNH because in addition to providing critical services such as water and energy, the environment is believed to contribute to aesthetic and other stimulus that can be directly healing to people who enjoy vivid cultures and light or colors, untainted breeze and silence in the nature's sound. Right? Nature's sound. So definitely this is also very contributing. So accordingly, we will choose the answer as option number D, which is all of the above. Okay. So we have been discussing all these questions thoroughly. That is from the beginning of the video that we have discussed, and the happiness portion was also included in this. So I guess all the answers were clearly understood and there wasn't any problem to this. So do refer to the other videos made earlier in order to understand or get a clear picture of what kind of question paper you are going to have, what kind of questions you might be familiar to. So do revise the papers well enough. Do refer to the previous videos of other sections, economic growth, development, all of them. And I guess you will be well prepared or thoroughly prepared with your syllabus. So I will conclude my video here. This paper is complete and I am wishing you all the very best for the exam that you're preparing for. Do follow this and I'm sure you will definitely get better results for exam. So concluding my video here, all the best And thank you for patiently hearing me for so long. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe.